Hello and welcome to the third edition of This Is Portsmouth, brought to you live this Friday lunchtime by me, Ethan Williams.
And myself, Josh Walton. Welcome to today's show.
So, as we know, we're only in the third edition, so we are a fairly new show. So we thought it would be appropriate that we give you some background info on who we are and what this show is all about.
It makes sense, doesn't it? First and foremost, This Is Portsmouth is a show striving to reach out to as many people as we can from within all areas of the Portsmouth community.
All of our shows are designed to explore this great city via the means of television, and we will be looking at the culture, local community projects, sport, education, and hopefully provide a show that has a little bit of something for everyone.
So whether it's an insight into community projects you can get involved in, exclusive performances from local bands and musicians, or the latest news from our favourite football team down the road at Fratton Park, we're sure to have something for you. Anyway, we're broadcasting here live from the Eldon building in Winston Churchill Avenue, and if you wanted to come down and watch the show, you are more than welcome. We'd love to have you here on our floor space out here if we can. So if you're free next week between 12 and 12:30 p.m. on the 29th of November for our next show, then please do come on down.
Yeah, it makes a difference. Gives us a bit more of a buzz.
Yeah,
people
it's
to
nice
work
to have
with.
a few people in the audience.
Okay, remember as well to give us a follow on Facebook and Instagram via @ThisIsPortsmouthTV if you wish to comment on anything we show you on today's episode. And of course, to stay up to date with all things Portsmouth.
Ethan, should we get on with the show then?
Well, I can't say no, so we probably should.
We might as well, yes. We have a few special guests for today's show. We'll be talking with Keith Morley, a representative from the Men's Shed organisation who is making a big impact on the Portsmouth community.
We will also have the local band Fake Empire coming in to perform one of their songs, I Heard You the First Time. And after that, we'll be having a chat with the lead singer, Les Black, who will be talking about the local music scene here in Portsmouth.
But to begin today's show, we're going to be taking a look at Remembrance Sunday and revisiting what happened last week in the Guildhall Square.
Well, as we know, Remembrance Day is the memorial service that recognises those who lost their lives fighting for our country. So it goes without saying that Remembrance Sunday is always a very big event in the Portsmouth calendar.
And one of the most common ways in which we show our support is by purchasing and wearing a red poppy. But Ethan, why do we wear them?
Well, it is actually quite interesting, the reason we wear the poppies. The red signifies the bloodshed that was sacrificed by the soldiers during the Great War and every war since, of course. And after the war had finished, once the war-torn landscapes were replaced, they were replaced by fielded poppies. They were the only things that would grow in the battlefields and trenches across the continent of Europe once again.
So what about the way in which we wear the poppy? Is there anything special or meaningful about that?
Well, as you can see, it's a little bit wonky there, but so you wear it on the left side of your shirt or your jacket, because that signifies that those who passed are close to your heart. And the green leaves are at around 11 o'clock to signify the 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th year that the war ended.
Just changed mine up there. We see a lot of poppies worn during the Remembrance Sunday service in Guildhall Square, which is always held on the second Sunday of November every year and has been a tradition since the end of World War I in 1918, where on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, the Great War ended.
Well, here at the University of Portsmouth, we have been sending out a team to record a live stream of the service at the Guildhall, which, just like this show, is broadcasted onto the Guildhall big screen and has been doing so for the past 9 years, so that everyone can observe the day from a closer perspective.
So we thought that in conjunction with this, we would send out a team from This Is Portsmouth to get the thoughts and feelings of those attending the parade and see what they had to say. Take a look at this.
Well, I really worry that we've got a generation of people now that don't have parents or grandparents that served in our nation. So I think Remembrance is a really good opportunity for people to learn about the sacrifice that others have made. And I think
we come every year.
Every year, yeah.
And
Every year.
it's showing respect. Yeah. It's our respect for those lovely souls that gave their lives for us.
For me personally, I guess it's kind of a time to reflect on previous wars. Obviously, not experienced, but kind of learnt about and stuff. My great grandfather was in the World War I, so like that kind of, on a personal level is kind of what I personally think.
Well, I'm really proud that Portsmouth is the heart and home of the Royal Navy, and obviously this year we mark 75 years since D-Day landings, and my grandfather left Southsea on his 17th birthday for that operation. So I was really pleased that earlier this year we marked the international commemorations of D-Day 75, and it was so good to see so many hundreds of people here marking what sacrifice people have given to our nations for the freedoms and peace that we enjoy today.
So I came today to represent the university and lay the wreath on behalf of both the university and the Students' Union. It's important to not forget, as much to remember, and it's good for sort of community spirit, I think.
Without their sacrifice and without the knowledge that our country has fought valiantly in many conflicts, and there has been a loss of life, there's nothing for the younger generation to actually go on to learn. Our history is a part of a vital feature that to stop history repeating itself, to stop wars in the future, you have to learn about conflicts in the past. And that's the only hope for the future. Learn about it instead of fighting away from it because you might be traumatised.
I think it's massive. I mean, it gets everyone together. Like, there are thousands of people here today, so it shows that, like, no matter what, like politics, whatever, everyone's just coming together for the same reason. So it's good. Yeah.
Now, the Guildhall Square wasn't the only place in Portsmouth to pay their respects recently. The men's team at Portsmouth FC paid their respects by laying wreaths on the pitch at Fratton Park with a representative from the Armed Forces Supporters Club before the game played against Oxford United. A minute's silence was observed as well.
Well, the women's team also laid down a wreath and had a moment's silence during their away game against the Crawley Wasps. In addition to this, they wore a special kit embroidered with a poppy.
So, sticking with football, let's talk about the Pompey FC women's team.
Well, we thought we would fill you guys in on how the women's team has been doing in their last couple of fixtures and highlight some of the key players. Josh, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ethan. Well, the Pompey FC women unfortunately did suffer a loss in their latest National League match against the Crawley Wasps. Their results over the past month have been very impressive, to say the least. As you can see, the ladies won 3 out of 3 games in October, consisting of 2 league matches and 1 League Cup match. On October the 6th, the ladies dominated Keynsham Town with a 7-2 victory. Shemaine True scored early on, with Becky Bath also scoring a brace, bringing the score to 3-0 by half-time. Then the opposition did briefly bring the game back to 3-2, but a brace from Tamsin de Bunsen, a goal from Jade Widows and Becky Bath securing a hat-trick meant that the ladies secured a comfortable win in the end. Next was another away league match against Chichester City on October the 9th, which the ladies won 4-1. Once again, True and Bath both found the net in the first half, giving the team a 2-1 lead going into the break. A successful penalty from Widows and a goal from Rosie McDonnell in the second half made sure they took all 3 points home. The final match of the month was a cup match against Leyton Orient on October the 20th, once again won comfortably. It wasn't all good news though, as a tough early start meant that the Portsmouth ladies went down 1-0 initially, but a strike from Curry and a quick brace from Shemaine True meant that Pompey FC were winning 3-1 going into the break. The second half brought more success as Becky Bath, Jade Widows and Jade Bradley all got themselves 1 goal each, securing that 6-1 victory. As of today, the current top scorers for Portsmouth Ladies FC are Becky Bath with 8 goals, Shemaine True with 7 and a tie for third with Tamsin de Bunsen and Jade Widows having 5 each. And with that in mind, I think it is safe to say that the entire team at Pompey has been putting in a huge effort to ensure the women's team have a fantastic season. And who knows, maybe we'll even see some silverware come the end of the season. Let's go Pompey!
Let's go Pompey indeed. So let's change gears just a little bit and talk about an organisation working locally that's been doing some incredible work within the community whilst bringing people together, and they're called Men's Sheds. So who are Men's Sheds? Well, they're a group dedicated to helping people connect, converse and create. For a bit of context about the organisation Men's Sheds, we're going back over to Josh before I sit down with some representatives from a local shed project and discuss how this movement has helped the community. Josh, take it away.
Once again, Ethan, thank you. Men's Sheds is an association that actually began in Australia, but has since also been active in Canada, Ireland, and of course here in England. The concept of Men's Sheds is quite simple. Members of the community meet up in a nearby location where like-minded and hard-working men can pursue practical interests, practice physical skills, enjoy making and mending, or just have a chat with other members. While these hard-working individuals often work on projects which benefit their local communities, that is not the only or main objective of Men's Sheds. Sometimes the Men's Shed organisation find that once men reach retirement or find themselves with a bereavement, they can have trouble maintaining social connections, and this loneliness can cause both mental and physical health issues. Men's Sheds provide a judgment-free workspace for men with spare time to interact with other like-minded individuals, to work on projects together, develop friendships, and even have an opportunity to open up about personal issues or anything on their mind to other shedders. It really is a great way to keep those involved socially active, and it is very easy to find a shed near you. If you go onto the official Men's Shed website at menssheds.org.uk, you can type in your postcode and the nearest sheds will appear on the map in front of you. Once you've found a shed close to you, you can directly contact them and see their availability, and it is that easy. In fact, there are a handful of sheds in Portsmouth and in the surrounding area, and we are lucky enough right now to have some representatives from one of those sheds in the studio with us. So for a quick chat about the organisation, it's over to Ethan.
Thank you very much, Josh. Well, joining me now, excuse me, is Keith Morley and Melanie Fitzgerald from Havant Shed. Well, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, it's great to have you here. And actually, am I right in thinking that you were at that parade, the Remembrance Parade?
In London, yes.
You went to the one in London as well?
Yeah, I went to the Royal Albert Hall Festival of Remembrance on Saturday, and then I went to London while I was out there, made a weekend of it.
Am I right in thinking that you were in the armed forces as
well?
I
was in the Royal Corps Signals, yes.
So something that's quite close to your heart?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, brilliant. So thank you very much once again for coming in. So we're here to talk about an organisation called Men's Shed, as Josh has just mentioned in the intro. Keith, let's start off talking about what is it, not only what are they for, but what is it to you? Why is this organisation so important to you?
I work as a sort of a coordinator between Mind, the mental health people, and the Havant Men's Shed, which is predominantly woodwork. And my aim is to combat loneliness, which is probably the biggest male killer in the country, I think. We've got probably 100 members, 40 of which are active, and we're predominantly wood. It's a hobby shop, you don't have to do anything. Yeah. It's split into two halves. One half is social, the other half is the woodworking section. If we want any metal work done, we go over to Gosport. But yeah, we make bowls and walking sticks, and we make benches for hailing or wherever, whoever wants them. We get most of our tools from widows or couples that are downsizing and moving into sheltered accommodation, and we take everything, we sort it out, the rubbish goes down the tip, and the rest either goes refurbished, tools for self-reliance, or we put it on eBay, really. And that's how we make our money.
Yeah, and Melanie, Keith mentioned there about combating loneliness, which is, as Keith mentioned, is something that seems to be on the rise, and something that, do you think it's something that's difficult for people to talk about, and is that something you think as an organisation
yes, it is,
you're quite
and
good at?
particularly with men. Women generally have quite good social networks through their children and their children's friends and things like that, but with men it's a lot harder, and when it first started they wanted a place for men to meet that wasn't in the pub, something away from alcohol. and it's amazing. I volunteered at Mind running some art classes for a few years and went along and saw the Havant shed and thought it was amazing. So I started off an initiative to get one on Hayling, and that shed is now open after a few years. Wrote a letter to our local paper, Hayling Islander, and a number of men have come forward and formed a committee and kept it going, and we now have a shed up that's about to be completed and then up and running, and they're fantastic. Wherever they are, they're really heavily subscribed and the men love it.
Just out of interest really, do you get a lot of younger people coming, or is it something that generally you think affects an older generation, or is it something that you think loneliness, Keith, can affect anybody really? What do you think about?
It's mainly people that have retired, or perhaps they've just come through mental health issues.
Yeah.
We've all got mental health issues at the end of the day. Maybe they just got divorced or something like that, and they're just looking for somewhere to go to basically to stay warm and safe.
And to socialise as well, which is something obviously quite important, especially if, as you said, if people are have gone through a bereavement. I imagine, Melanie, it's quite a nice support network, something that people almost look forward to coming to socialise to. Is that right?
You can just go and sit and have a coffee and chat to some of the other men, or just sit in peace and quiet on your own, or you can be involved with a woodworking project, because the alternative for some people is staying at home on their own doing nothing. So and then men will make other friendships when they're there, and perhaps go and do things separately. Keith's involved with loads of other areas of the community, supporting the shed, and the shed support them in other ways. So everything about it's really positive.
So just quickly, where can people get information if there's something they want to get involved with or feel like they'd like that network?
Just Google it,
Men's
Shed, Havant, or anywhere. I think there's 900, is that right, Keith?
Yes, there's about 900 sheds. We're also CIO, so we do have women members. So we just add a WO on when they come in to the front of the... Thank
you very, very much for coming in to speak to us. Actually really great to talk to you, and I think it's, as we said, something quite important. It's an issue that I'm really glad that we're dealing with. So
and some of your students are going to do another little film, a special video on it, just entirely on the men's shed.
Brilliant. Well, we look forward to seeing
that. So that will be great.
And hope to get to speak to you again very soon. Thank you very, very much for joining us. As we said, it's great to see organisations like this helping out the local community. It can make such a huge difference to the people who need it most. Okay, we're going to move on to the final segment of today's episode of This Is Portsmouth, and we're talking the local music scene.
Ethan, well done. Nice to see you again. It's been a while.
I haven't seen you for, half an hour really.
I know, I've been over there sharing some information.
Yeah, lots of information.
Fantastic interview though.
Thank you very much. Great organisation. Great organisation. But we've changed it up a little bit. Should we talk music?
We should, yes, good idea. Music has always been an important factor in the city, especially when you consider that the worldwide stars such as Bob Dylan, Thin Lizzy and even the Beatles have performed their smash hits at our very own Guildhall Square.
But as you can probably presume, given the names of those artists, that was a little while ago.
A bit before our time, eh?
Some of our audience might remember it.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So. I won't name them. But they know who they are. So there are multiple venues all around Southsea which host a large variety of tribute bands, local artists and exclusive gigs, which are the perfect place to go out with your friends over the weekend and listen to some music.
And an example of such venue is the Wedgwood Rooms, located on Albert Road, commonly known as the Wedge. This music and comedy venue has featured multiple big international bands and artists for many years. Additionally, as stated on their website, they host an annual showcase for local bands, giving the city's hidden gems an opportunity to perform to a local audience and maybe even gain a few fans along the way.
Well, another Southsea venue that you can go to for a good night out is Portsmouth Pyramids. This venue is another great place to see some exclusive gigs, as well as some up-and-coming local indie bands.
Luckily for us, Ethan, and luckily for us in the audience, we don't need to go anywhere to see some music. A local band going by the name of Fake Empire kindly let us go along to one of their recordings of their single, I Heard You the First Time. Everyone, please give it up for Fake Empire.
tell me again. Don't tell me again. I heard you the first time. I heard you. I heard you the first time. Say something else. Do something else. I heard you. I heard you the first time.
I love that, Ethan. I thought that was really good.
That was quite cool, I thought.
Yeah, hopefully we'll hear a little bit more from them, maybe in some shows to come.
Hopefully so. So once again, that was Fake Empire playing their song, I Heard You the First Time. And joining us now in the studio is their lead singer, Les. And Les said to us during that little clip, oh, this is such a long song. But we actually, I thought, oh, we loved it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you liked it. It's a bit embarrassing hearing it back myself.
Oh, it's class, mate. Really good.
So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Let's go back to the beginning, right at the start. Where did Fake Empire come from? Where did the band form, and how did you get going?
Well, we formed in this building in
Did you?
Eldon.
Welcome
'cause
home.
We're all, we're all members of staff here. Well, you know Becky, and Simon is the associate dean, and I look after IT. It's exciting, but
I wonder if you can help. We're having a problem with the auto cue. I'm not sure if you can check if it works.
Yeah,
You can have a look at it.
no, I'm off duty. But yeah, so Simon and I we've both been in bands for years, and then we ended up sitting together, me, Simon, and Charlie, and playing guitars and stuff. And then we just started jamming, and then we wrote a couple of songs, and then we didn't have a drummer, so we heard that Becky played drums. And she came along to a practice, and yeah, got the gig. It was good. Yeah.
Yeah, and we heard there the type of music that you play.
Yeah.
Who would you liken yourself to in big, like worldwide acts?
Well, people who come and see us say we've got a kind of 80s sound, an 80s post-punk sound. So we're into those bands like Joy Division and Editors and New Order, Cure, Smiths, that kind of alt bands from the 80s, so yeah, and modern day bands like Interpol as well, so we kind of got all those influences jumbled up in there somewhere.
So I'll give you this question. This might be quite a difficult question actually, but I'll make it a bit easier. Dead or alive, if you could open and support any band, any artist, who would you love to just be on stage?
Well, if Dead or Alive, I'd say for me it'd be the Smiths.
Yeah.
They're just the best band ever. But nowadays bands, I don't know, The National or New Order. I think Simon would say The Cure. I'm not sure about Becky. She likes more modern, obscure stuff. But yeah.
And you are a local band, obviously.
Yeah. We work here and we live around Portsmouth. So.
Would you say that it's a little bit of a trap for local bands for getting out expanding into the wider community?
It's difficult to get out of Portsmouth, but the good thing about being in a Portsmouth band is that there are loads of other Portsmouth bands who are really good, and they're really sociable. And we practice a rehearsal room called Southsea Sound, and through there, that seems to be a hub for Portsmouth bands, and everybody knows each other. So whenever anybody gets a gig outside, you can usually tap them up for the promoter, and it's worked out well for us, and we've made some contacts just through playing locally in Portsmouth that's enabled us to go and play in London and in Brighton. So yeah, it's very good for that. Yeah.
So I've had a little question come through from upstairs. And that question is, if you could open for the band Ride, I think they said, what would you say about that? I've got that right.
Thanks, Charlie. Yeah, that would indeed be a privilege. I'm a big fan, but not as big a fan as others who are obviously in your ear right now.
So just quickly, where do you see yourself going in the next few years? Do you see yourself growing? Do you see yourself expanding, writing more music?
Well, our fan base has really grown. We've only been going about 2 years, so yeah, I don't know. We're just sort of recording stuff. It's being well received, and we're putting it on Spotify, and we're making a tiny bit of money from Spotify and sales and stuff like that. So And we've got loads of ideas just coming thick and fast, so we're just going to carry on and see. But we definitely ultimately want to be playing more gigs outside of Portsmouth, as much as we love Portsmouth.
And as we mentioned earlier, the Wedgwood Rooms is somewhere that you're actually playing tonight, am I right?
Yeah. So that's sold out. So we're playing with our friends who are doing an album launch called Curbwire. So we'll be down there, and then we're down there later on in the month as well.
We look forward to coming to see it. Thank you so much for joining us. We'd love to chat longer, but unfortunately, that's all we have time for. So let's have another quick round of applause for Les and Fake Empire, please.
Cheers.
Now, of course, there is so much more to discover about this wonderful city, but unfortunately we have run out of time, and that is all we've got time for on this edition of This Is Portsmouth.
Well, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check us out on YouTube and, of course, Instagram and Facebook. Thank you so much for tuning in the audience, in Guildhall Square, and, of course, online. See you later.
Bye-bye.